No, thank you. Sleepy. Come back in an hour. Need sleepy. Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God!
It's now time for the Billy C. Morning Show, part of the Billy C. Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
Good morning. We're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Morning Show. Hope everybody is doing all right. Today's show is being brought to you in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located in beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia, a place I'm going to be this weekend for the Keith Thurman-Sean Porter fight and the Dominic Breazeale-Anthony Joshua fight. We'll get to that a little bit later. Check out the menu by visiting www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or you can give my man a call, 912-268-2328. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by the JKJ Boxing Magazine. Get yourself the latest edition right now by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the JKJ Boxing Magazine cover, which is located on the right-hand side. Subscribe to this magazine. It's for free. That's right. You can download it right now for free. If you want to get copies of it in your grubby little hands, well, then you got to pay for the postage. But all the information can be found up on our website by clicking the JKJ Boxing Magazine cover. And, of course, our website, www.billycboxing.com. Today's show is also being brought to you in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, including Barnes & Noble. And you could get a copy of it right now at barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com for that matter. Now, if you're looking to get a signed copy, just visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the book club section. I can also hook you up with a copy if you see me out and about. Just ask me. I never leave home without them. Some stuff this weekend took place. Big upset. Joe Smith Jr. against Andrzej Fonfara. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We also our very own Coach K, who's in the chat room on a regular basis. He predicted this. He was actually we're going to try and get him on a little bit later because he actually said he was going to try and put a little do-re-mi on the fight, predicting that Joe Smith was going to upset Fonfara. But, geez, I was wondering if he thought he was going to do it the way it happened. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We also got the rest of the fight results coming up. We also have some info on the fight that was scheduled or at least announced last week between Deontay Wilder and Chris Arreola. Give you an idea about that fight and what the odds makers think. And I want to start talking about the big fights this weekend. Dominic Breazeale is challenging Anthony Joshua for his newly acquired world heavyweight title. Who do you think's going to win that fight, Anthony Joshua or Dominic Breazeale? Dominic Breazeale says he ain't no Charles Martin. So drop me an email. What do you think? Billy at Talkin' Boxing. That's TALKINBOXING. Who's going to win, Anthony Joshua or Dominic Breazeale? Joining me right now is my man Sal Rocky Senecola. What's up, Sal?
Good morning, Bill. How are you, buddy?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Hey, congratulations to Cleveland. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Sal, come from a 3-1 deficit. They come back from a 3-1 series deficit to complete, I could say, timeout. Let me restart. Take two. The Cavaliers complete their comeback from a 3-1 series deficit to beat the Golden State Warriors last night on the Warriors' home court, 93-89. They win the NBA championship. LeBron James leads the way with a triple-double, 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists. Draymond Green led the Warriors in what was a pretty competitive, high, tense game. 32 points, 15 rebounds, and 9 assists. What's your thoughts on that real quick before we get into boxing, my man?
Oh, that's great. Well, that's what champions are built of and made of, especially on that team level. You know, the desire to coordinate and to accelerate and to really fascinate the audience. You know, you put it together, you rise to the occasion like any champion. You come back from behind, you can prove it. If you're dominant at the start, that's one thing. But if you can come back from behind, that's another. And that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. And to do it on Golden State's home court is even more remarkable. LeBron James really stepped it up, especially in the last few games, to take command of that series. And he was playing like he wasn't going to be denied, like there was no way. And remember something, Golden State, you know, aside from Steph Curry, Draymond Green had something to prove too. Clint made some statements in the press saying that they would not have lost if he hadn't had to miss the game due to a game suspension when he and LeBron, well, he didn't really like it when LeBron kind of rubbed his privates on his head when he went over him. But nonetheless, he didn't come through, and the Cavs did. So congratulations to LeBron James, his Cleveland Cavaliers, and the whole city of Cleveland, because they really rallied behind this. It's been quite a while since they had a championship in the city of Cleveland.
It's true. And, you know, I used to live in Cleveland for a couple of years when I was being managed and trained by Richie Giacchetti. And I like Cleveland. I had a good time in Cleveland. And I first pulled up, and I was welcomed by this woman. She said, "Welcome to the Mistake on the Lake." And I said, "What are you talking about?" It didn't take me that far to learn about what they were referring to. But overall, I had a great experience in Cleveland.
I was just going to say, what the hell did you ever do to get sentenced to live in Cleveland for a while? But anyway,
I signed a contract with Richie Giacchetti.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey, listen, we got a big upset this weekend in boxing. If you want to, let's just jump right into it. You know, Joe Smith Jr.
I love it.
Joe Smith Jr. You know, came into Chicago, which is where Andrzej Fonfara pretty much has called his second home, aside from, you know, he was born in Poland and stuff, but he's been fighting out of the Chicago area for quite a while. And comes in. Now, we all knew that this kid had power, but I said myself that I wasn't sure. You know, I mean, it was quite the jump up. He's followed that blueprint of where promoters coddle them and overprotect them. And I really didn't know what to see. But, man, was his power on display on Saturday, not knocking out the Polish Prince at 2 minutes and 32 seconds of the first round. They officially call it a TKO, but he was in some serious trouble. I don't know why they didn't give him a KO on that one, but nonetheless, Smith improves his record to 22 wins and 1 loss, with 17 of the wins coming by knockout. Fonfara drops to 28-4. What was your thoughts on that one?
Well, you know, we talked about this on Friday, and Bill, I suggest. Hey, I suggested
we
that
got hold on one second, Sal. We got Coach on the line. Coach, lower your volume on there. But go ahead, hold tight, Coach. Finish your thoughts, Sal.
All right. You know, I kind of called this as well. It was amazing on Friday. We were discussing this about a fighter being coddled, and I said, well, that could be good up to the point where he's got to rise to the occasion and fight on a world-class level. And you and I discussed this with Joe Smith. I said, well, here's the guy. He's got an opportunity to go into somebody's backyard, and like I did a few times. And I loved it. I rose to the occasion. No way was I going to be denied. And you know what? I saw it in his eyes. I saw it in his training films a little bit. This guy wanted an opportunity to be on a world-class stage. And guess what? Psychologically, he got himself there. Physically, he got himself there, and he delivered an upset that really stunned a lot of people, including Fonfara. And from the get-go, he went out there and he met Fonfara in the middle of the ring, not showing him respect as a well accomplished and fighter who's got the skills. And he went at him. He had him backing up. He hurt him early, or he hit him early, I should say. And then Fonfara, to his credit, was backing Joe Smith up and had Joe Smith. He caught him with a couple of shots, but that's when it became a real bad situation for Fonfara, because Joe Smith came over the top with that overhand right, and bam, that was it. He woke up Fonfara just to almost put him to sleep.
Well, he did put him to sleep, and joining us right now, my man Coach, who's a regular staple in the chat room. And Coach, congratulations, man! You predicted it. Did you ever get the money? I just want to know, did you ever throw the money on this fight or what?
No. I tell you the truth, I never got to put the bet down. Have I had known the odds had gone to 14-1, I'd have knocked down doors to do it. But you guys have touched on some of the things that actually disturbed me about the fight. Excuse me. Part of it being that prior to the fight, reading everybody like not giving Joe Smith a shot at all, tearing up his record. And I just want to point out a few things. Pointing out that Smith had lost to a fight early in his career to Eddie Caminero, which Caminero had lost 6 of his following fights. They failed to point out that in that fight, Smith fought almost 4 rounds with a multi-fractures in his jaw. When the fight was stopped, was ahead on the card. The fight was actually stopped after Caminero shouldered him in the fractured jaw. Even though it was still a loss, they kind of squashed that idea and overlooked that Fonfara suffered a similar loss early in his career. They then pointed out that, according to Smith's record, he hasn't fought anybody. Well, I'm lucky enough to know Smith for many years and have seen his power personally. They totally discredited Smith's chances on his power by his record, forgetting to do the research that he was avoided. He opened challenges to nobody would fight him. So I'm giving Fonfara credit for just even taking the fight with Smith, knowing Smith's power, with the Stevenson fight, on the line. That said, they I don't know if you realize this during the broadcast, but they actually said that Smith learned how to fight in the bar. Just to show you their lack of doing an investigation on Smith, they're confusing him with Shawnee Monahan.
Sure. But they figure a
Smith has an accomplished amateur boxing ram, winning numerous junior titles, Golden Glove titles, you name it, he's done it. And most of those fights even coming in the same fashion as the Fonfara fight. The other thing is, when people talk about how his fights were selected, him having the hard time getting fights, Smith is fortunate enough to have found himself with Star Boxing, who DeGuardia has got a potential second upset of the year fight 2 out of 3 years without Jerry Provodnikov being the first. They're finally moving him to the fight. I believe he actually, he deserves. He's totally underrated as a fighter and overlooked, dodged for sure. And the funny part about it is, while this is all happening, Stevenson, I was shocked when I found this out. Stevenson, who's going to fight Williams Jr., right, in his long trek to avoid Kovalev, is now supposedly, should he get past Williams Jr., going to fight either Alvarez instead of fighting even Smith.
Well,
so there goes again, showing that Smith is just being dodged.
Well,
he's the guy who's done what he needs to.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, my point, and I actually was talking with Sal about this off the air yesterday. My point is, I'm so critical of the way fighters are moved today, where they're coddled and everything else. But there are exceptions to the rule. And an example is Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade, we all knew had the tools. He displayed the talent, but he was carefully moved too until he got to a position where he is now. And of course now the big fights have fallen into his lap. The same thing could be said about Smith, except there's a big difference, Coach. no one knew Smith. No one saw Smith. And like you mentioned, they were confusing him with Monahan. Shawnee Monahan from New York, the Irish bomber from New York. They figure, all those Irish guys are the same, and they picked it. But the funny thing is Fonfara, he kind of busted onto the scene because of his performance against Stevenson. Then when he beat Chavez Jr., all of a sudden he's a guy to be reckoned with. I think this was a clear case of a couple of things. Number one, I don't think Fonfara would have avoided that overhand right at all because he went right back and landed it again. It would seem like he just had no answer for it. And the other thing, clearly, wait. Clearly, I think Fonfara underestimated Smith. I thought that they were looking at this fight as a showcase fight, and I love that Smith came out and took no prisoners and jumped all over him and ended the fight quick. No sense in pussyfooting around.
I would agree with you like I do often at times, but here's the thing. Having been watching the sparring sessions under his trainer, Jerry Capianco, I watched the plan be set up. They analyzed Fonfara. They knew exactly. I heard them talk about the overhand right was planned. It was set up. When you hear Smith say at the end of the fight, how they knew that once Fonfara starts to put his punches together, the retreating by Smith was intentional to get Fonfara to open up, to show those weaknesses in his defense. They planned for it. They set it up by letting Fonfara move his hands, open up those defensive lapses, and the big right hand was there filling the void. They planned it. They saw it. They scouted it. It wasn't overlooked. No matter who he hit with that punch,
no,
they were going down.
I said
and Smith will never be a 14-1 underdog again.
No, I said that Fonfara's team overlooked Smith's power. They were overlooking him. That's what my point was. That they looked at this fight as just being a show up to work and you're going to get the win kind of a thing. I wasn't discrediting Smith at all. I'm giving him all the accolades that you could possibly get. My only thing is, honestly, we talk about fighters who duck this one and duck that one. The only guys that are really getting ducked are the big names that, like the Triple Gs and stuff like that. I don't know if Smith was really being ducked. I think he will be now. I just don't think that, he was bringing anything to the table as far as a ranking.
I don't want to mention names because of being on the inside, and they've reached out to fight fighters that flat refused to fight them.
Yeah, but it could always be about the money. You know that, Coach. Come on. They could all say, hey, we want to fight so-and-so. Here's the money. Oh, no, that money's not good enough. Then the next version of it is they don't want to fight them.
Giving them an excuse. The real thing is that comes down to the risk versus reward. They don't want to fight him because why? Because they know he brings that punch. And whatever I don't think Fonfara overlooked Smith. I just think they looked and possibly went for the hype of, he lost that fight to this guy. They listened to everything everybody else wrote. Possibly they had to see the clips that I seen. I actually put up there. They had to see his punching power. So I don't see Fonfara knowing that he got there the same way Smith just did it would have actually overlooked him. I think they underestimated his actual skills and punch.
Yeah, well, like Sal, you and I were talking about. I mean, he was regarded, Smith, as a one-dimensional fighter, a guy with punching power. Fonfara's team felt that they could overcome that, and obviously they couldn't get out of the way of that right hand.
Well, and what's so evident from this performance by Smith, as Coach referred to, and if it's the truth, hey, guess what? They knew they were getting an opportunity to be presented on a world-class stage and to rise to the occasion. And I use this term a lot because that's what champions do. That's what stars, that's what fighters, that's the whole intent, that's the word, fighting. You rise to the occasion. You're gonna beat somebody. And the truth of the matter is, if Smith and his camp and his team looked at the films and saw the only way he's going to get, not the only way, but the one way to deliver that overhand chopping right, which was devastating to Fonfara, was to retreat and have him go back a little bit, as he did. And Fonfara was coming forward, opening himself up with those shots that he was trying to deliver to Smith, which he looked like he was having a little success, though they did not hurt Smith. And then Smith just bounces back off the ropes, and wham! That overhand right came out like an unloaded spring coil that just chopped him down. And I'll tell you what, I'll watch. You know what? Smith is now going to be on a world-class stage, and he's going to be looked at with this power that he does possess as being the real deal. So I'm so excited for him because this is what I love to see in boxing. Taking an underdog, as he was referred to, and then seeing this guy rise to the occasion and become a star overnight. And hopefully he'll get some great matches. He'll get some good opportunities. He'll continue to rise to the occasion. He'll have the mindset and the mentality, because I believe when you fight and you're on a world-class stage, you believe you've got to be there, you belong there, and you're going to be the best or the baddest person on the planet to do that and rise to the occasion and knock these guys out.
Hey,
so
Coach,
let's see what he does with it now.
Coach,
He's got the opportunity.
Coach, I think that he's got a good chance of beating Stevenson. As a matter of fact, I think he's got a better than good chance. Stevenson has been down before, and I don't think he's been in there with a fighter with the punching power of Smith. And it wouldn't shock me to see him, as Kovalev refers to him as Chicken Stevenson, avoid Joe Smith. So tell us more about that rumor you heard.
Okay, part of what I'm seeing now what's happening is Smith being totally overlooked at first in the Fonfara fight. Now he's being labeled as just a one-dimensional power puncher, and everybody's skipping the fact that he has a high-caliber amateur background. He's not just a single-punch guy. Of course, that's what you have to worry about, but he's been working on how to disguise it, how to bring it, and find his opponent's weaknesses, all to the credit of his team. He has become a much better fighter. As far as the fight with Stevenson, just hearing that should Stevenson get past Williams Jr., which I think is a bit of a soft pick, to say the least, that he's going to fight either Alvarez after that, after promising the winner of Fonfara Smith the shot, is just another total dodge. Now you have world champions not only ducking the other champion, in this case Kovalev. They want to stay away from potential rivals, up-and-coming potential stars. They want to dodge them too.
How can a sanctioning body allow that? Only because they keep falling within the guidelines of the body in terms of making defenses. And I when are the fans going to put? The pressure's on the fans. When are they going to step up and say to Stevenson, "You're a fraud"?
No, you nailed it, and we've discussed this before, where I believe it's the TMZ-styled boxing fans who, trying to avoid saying your favorite Las Vegas fighter's name, won his first world championship against Gennaro Hernandez. They made a big accolades about that when Oscar De La Hoya had beaten him 3 years earlier. That Vegas star wouldn't fight De La Hoya for 9 years. In that same interim, Mosley stepped up, goes after De La Hoya, beats him twice. That same Vegas fighter doesn't fight Mosley for 10 years. That is what the boxing fan is conditioned to. There has to be some dramatic story to go along with the fight, or they just tunnel the name. It's somehow the top rankings have become irrelevant. Example being, all of a sudden, Canelo being banished from the rankings for whatever faux pas he just pulled off. I don't get it.
Well,
the sport needs to straighten up. I don't get it.
It's
all the politics involved.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's sad.
Yeah, just to tell you one other thing I came across. The PC world of boxing now touching the amateurs. The Syrian Sports Federation pulled one of their fighters out of the last Olympic qualifier because in the first round he would be required to touch gloves with an Israeli boxer, therefore recognizing the Israeli state. I say to myself, what? That's nuts. This is sports. When are we going to get back to competition, man on man? The sport I fell in love with.
Yeah,
and if I could just point out, the best punch that night was Centeno Jr. hitting the referee with that right hook. That was the best punch of the night. Had that been a Smith punch, they would have needed a replacement referee.
Hey, Coach, you should try to reach out to Smith. We'd love to have him come on the show, especially after this big one.
I'm going to talk to his dad later on today.
Yeah, well, we're going to be doing a show, obviously, today and tomorrow and Wednesday, and then I'll be on the road. But I would love to get him on, if not this week, definitely when we get back next week, or even when we're doing our live shows over the weekend. We'd love to get him on. So you have all my contact info, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
as soon as I'm done, listening to the show, and I'll reach out to his dad, and I'm sure there'll be more than this. I'm obviously on the Smith bandwagon, and not just because I've been around the game long enough to know a fighter when I can see it. A young guy given a chance, like Sal said, rose to the occasion. I know the kid. He's going to do his thing, take a week off too. I can guarantee you 10 days from now, that kid's going to be in the gym. The kid, he knows fighting. He's been around fighting. He loves the game. And he has that one denominator. Some guys just can't get their whole career, that punch.
Well,
which makes him...
And he's from Long Island, so it's all it all makes sense.
I'm an instant fan of Phil Smith.
Whoa! I'm not gonna hold the Irish thing against him, Coach. I'm not gonna.
You got two paisanos.
I'm not gonna hold the Irish thing against him. But at least I'm gonna give him the accolades for Long Island. But hey, Coach, I appreciate you calling up and giving us your thoughts and being on the inside. I'd love to get him on here. And I'm really disappointed you didn't get that bet in. You should have hooked up. I have a few friends that could have got that in for you.
I normally would have, but I was preparing for my granddaughter to come and stay for the summer, and priorities got to be what they are.
Hey, I hear that. I was with mine yesterday. It's her birthday today, so I hear that, my man. Well, listen, enjoy the day. I'll look forward to hearing from you. You got my phone number too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good. And text me or whatever, because we'd love to get him on.
All right, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. That's my man, Coach. That's my man, Coach, who's in the chat room a lot, Sal. And, he called it, so Smith, Joe Smith Jr., like I said, improves to 22-1 with 17 knockouts, and Fonfara dropping to 28-4 in the main event from this past weekend. And I love seeing Cinderella stories like that, Sal.
Oh, you and me both, and that's the fight game. That's what I love. I wonder if Fonfara is going to ask for a rematch and come up with some reason why he got caught off guard, and we'll see what happens. But Joe Smith, I can identify and know what he must be feeling right now. And like I said, he went to somebody's backyard. He rose to the occasion. He did what he knew he could do. See, that's what's so funny with this. When you talk about a coddled fighter, sometimes they're ready to be unleashed and uncoiled and rising to the occasion. And that's why I am now a big fan of Joe Smith Jr. Because you know what? This guy, he knew all along what he possessed. He knew he was going to go in there, and he wanted to prove to the world what he just did.
Yeah, but...
And so...
Yeah, but
it worked out in his favor.
But in cases like this, all fighters know or feel that they're the guy, and they need the opportunity. And, Joe Smith obviously stepped up and was able to do it. It's not that easy, so, not all fighters would have been successful. And I think you might be right. Fonfara, he was on a fast track to another rematch and big money fights, etc. Maybe a rematch does have some value. That's a good point, especially if Coach is right in Chicken Stevenson ducking yet another fighter with a pulse. That's messed up. But also on that card, Rashid Warren avenged his only loss. He improves to 22-1 now when he took Juan Carlos Payano the distance and won his WBA super bantamweight title on Saturday. Two of the judges scored at 115, 113 for Rashid Warren, and the third had it as a draw, 114, 114. I thought that Warren made that fight a little closer by taking his foot off the gas. But here's something I noticed. Did you get a chance to watch that fight, Sal?
Yes, I saw some of it,
All right,
and
well,
I definitely referred back to the first fight they had as a reference point. And but go ahead.
but here's what I noticed. All right, Rasheed Warren is clearly a talented fighter. The kid possesses hand speed and punching accuracy. When he lets his hands go, he's very accurate, and he's got fantastic movement with his feet. He's not known as a power puncher. The guy out of 23 pro fights, he's only got 4 knockouts. And this is the part I don't understand. And a lot of fighters do it today. It looks like he trains for bang, bang, boom, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, whatever, left, right, left, or right, left, right, or whatever, bing, bang, boom, and that third punch is supposed to be the killer, and that's the way he fought at times against Payano. Except the problem is after he does that bing, bang, boom, he stops, and it's like he pauses for a second, almost thinking that his opponent's going to crumble to the canvas, and in that time, especially as he moves up with the level of opposition, somebody's going to come right back and nail him, because his style, because he's so fast, his hands, and because his footwork is so great, he fights with his hands down. I don't understand why fighters get into this habit of doing that, with the bing, bang, boom, like a 3-punch combination where they're kind of setting up with the first 2 and coming crashing down with that third power shot, and then they stop to admire, and fighters get caught. When Rasheed Warren was doing what I think he does best, going in there, being aggressive, letting his hands go, he was preventing Payano from even throwing any punches. And not only that, but I think a knockout will come based on the accumulation of punches if he sticks to that. I think that's some work that Rasheed Warren has to do, as he moves forward. But aside from that, I think the kid is got it all.
He does have it all, Bill. You made some good points. And instead of him working on his little 3-punch combination because of his lack of power, it's still a blow that once landed, it's going to shake up an opponent. It's going to get his attention. But what he's got to work on is maybe a nice 5-punch combination, and not relent early, and just become more proficient. With a 5-punch combination, 6-punch combination. This way, he will not only get the attention, but he will set up a knockout if he gets the guy with his speed as he can and his footwork. He throws punches, and they come from different angles. And, sometimes they're a little unorthodox when I looked at it because, the other hand might be down a little bit, but it's coming right over the top quick enough where he's not going to get caught. He's a very talented fighter. He's got some great combinations that he could possess, and with foot movement and head movement. But I think he better go back to the gym and start working on a nice 5-punch combination, and still have that 3-punch for the in and out, quick, boom, 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 and get out. But when you regroup and reset, look for the openings, move the head, come on in, slip the punch, and boom, 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 and put a few more punches together, and I think he'll have the continued ride to success.
Well,
because Juan Carlos Payano was also a busy fighter, and he keeps punching, he keeps coming. So that's why it was a very good match. I think.
Well, he does. Warren does throw multi-punch combinations. More than just bing bang boom, the 3-punch. He was throwing 5, 6, 7-punch combos. But it seemed like when he thought he was gonna knock out Payano, he did the bing bang boom 3-punch. And I think and that was my point. I think if he stays with his letting his hands go, utilize his hand speed and movement, he's going to be a tough out. As far as Carlos Payano, he was a busy fighter in the second half of the fight. In the first half of the fight, he pretty much gave the fight away. The only reason why those scorecards were close, in my opinion, is because Rasheed Warren took a couple of rounds off towards the end himself and then poured it on in the last 2. Because that fight wouldn't have, in my opinion, that fight wasn't even close until Rasheed Warren took some time off, which I was a little surprised. He didn't seem winded at all, but very entertaining fight. I want to see more of Rasheed Warren. That's why a lot of the people that fought with him in the Olympics said that he was the glamour point of our Olympic team for those because he went to I think 2 Olympics. So
he went to 2 Olympics. Yeah. I don't know if he won a medal though. I don't think he won a medal.
He didn't win a gold, but he won. I think he won something.
No, he didn't win a gold. Yeah. He's a talented fighter, and he almost reminded me of Howard Davis Jr., who was the Olympic star of the '76 Olympics. And, Howard Davis Jr. didn't have much pop to his punch. He punched in combinations. So you might look at some of those tapes and refer back to the late and great Howard Davis Jr. And what I meant by Warren, throwing those combinations, if you're going to step back to regroup, you just take a one step back and you look where the next opening is going to be to unleash another 3 to 5 punch combination. So you are going to be punches and bunches, and that's going to be his style. So he's going to land a couple of punches, do a combination, maybe just take a quick step back to reset real fast, see where the openings are, and then boom, 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 and take advantage of the combination that's at hand again. And that's how he's going to get some knockouts in this career, I promise you.
Also on that television broadcast, we got to see the young Erickson Lubin improve to 15-0 with 11 knockouts when he knocked out Daniel Sandoval at 2 minutes and 36 seconds of the 3rd round. And Daniel Sandoval drops to 38-4 with 34 knockouts. I think that this was a huge win for Lubin, and we'll see him on the mainstream of broadcast pretty soon. And Coach is in there correcting us, 3-time Olympian for Rasheed Warren.
Really?
Yeah, it's 3-time, and he was the only 3-time Olympian. So thanks for keeping us straight on that one, Coach. Also in the middleweight division, Majik Suluki improved to 23-0 with 7 knockouts when he took care of Hugo Centino Jr., who loses for the first time in his career until he stopped him, actually, at 1 minute and 6 seconds of the 10th and final round. So congratulations to Suluki. Thomas Delorme wins his comeback fight, so to speak. He's been out for a little bit. He improves to 23 wins and a couple of losses with 15 knockouts. He took care of journeyman Jesus Gurilola, who drops to 22-9. A fighter that I think we should keep an eye on in the super middleweight division, Jose Uzelguy, improved to 25-1 when he took care of Derek Finley when Finley couldn't come out at the end of the 3rd round to drop to 23-10. Also, Johnny Gonzalez improved to 61-10 when he scored a 10th round stoppage over Christopher Martin, which a lot of people were wondering about Johnny Gonzalez and where he sits today. He's had some up and down fights. He's had an up and down career, but Christopher Martin, you never know which Christopher Martin's going to show up, but I give Gonzalez credit for beating whichever version of Christopher Martin showed up on Saturday. Also on that card, Carlos Molina improved to 26-6 with a couple of draws when he won a 8-round split decision over Javier Prieto, 77-75 for Prieto, and 2 of the judges had it, 78-74 and 77-75 for Molina. On Friday night, another one of these star boxing, Joe DeGuardia fighters on the rise. Cletus Selden improved to 19-0 with 16 knockouts when he took care of Jesus Selig in the very first round. That whole card were very one-sided affairs, and that took care of kind of a slow weekend in boxing. But I wanted to get your thoughts on this real quick before we touch on Dominic Breazeale against Anthony Joshua. Last week, Sal, we were talking about Deontay Wilder and him fighting Chris Arreola, and the fact that Chris Arreola really hasn't even looked, somewhat decent over his last 3 fights, going 1-1-1. He's got a record of 36-4 with a draw right now, and Deontay Wilder pounds his chest and claims he's the best heavyweight out there at 36-0 with 35 knockouts. Well, here's what the odds and the bookmakers are thinking. If you want to bet $100 on Deontay Wilder against Chris Arreola, you got to lay out $3,750 to win $100. I mean, to me, how do, even though it's a stay busy fight, how can people accept such a one-sided fight? I mean, right out of the gate. Now we all know, Sal, that boxing can end with one punch, and Chris Arreola could become the new champ. But 37-1, that's not a nail biter.
Well, I might put some money on Chris Arreola and hope he studies a little bit of the school of Joe Smith Jr.
There you go. Because $100 will get you 15 to 200. I mean, $100 will get you between 1,500 and $2,000 if you bet on Arreola.
I'm betting on Arreola.
I mean, it's like the horse guys. A lot of guys that bet the horses. They'll bet the favorite. They'll bet $10 and they'll win $1. And on the favorite, and they'll say, "Oh, I hit all these races," and their total winnings was $3 for the day. I'd rather bet the $2 limit and lose the $2, but if I win, I'd rather win 100. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's it, pal. That's it. And we'll see that fight. Of course, Wilder should dominate that fight in true fashion. But you never know. Like I said, any given night, you never know what can happen in this squared circle called boxing.
Especially in the heavyweight division.
Fighter could rise, especially the heavyweights. Because a fight like that, and Arreola does have a little power. He could get lucky. He could land a pop and a punch, and to see Wilder pick himself up or so. But we don't know that right now. And all thing black and white on paper, it looks like Wilder should have a nice place to showcase his talents. And as he feels, it deserves a little bit of an easy ride due to the original fight being canceled due to the mess that the opponent found himself in.
Well, Chris Arreola, the big problem with him has been dedication. I know he goes to the gym sometimes, but sometimes he swings by. But I mean, he does have pop. He's been down. I think he's a perfect opponent for Wilder. To look good against. But again, I need to see Deontay Wilder in a real fight. I'm just disappointed that boxing is the way it is, where we don't see it, so we really can't gauge these fighters. It's the same thing that happened with Joe Smith knocking out Andrzej Fonfara this past weekend. Is Joe Smith that good, or was Fonfara that bad? I mean, I want to think the latter. I want to think the previous. I want to think that Joe Smith has been under the radar, and he came in and knocked Fonfara out, who's been in there with some punches, and hasn't really been. He's been down, but he hasn't been knocked out like that. So I want to give Joe Smith credit, and I hope Coach is wrong about other fighters ducking him already. I mean, if that's the case, Sal, a guy wins one fight, a big high-profile fight, and then all the other fighters start ducking him. Tell me that's not sad.
Well, it is sad, but here's the other thing. Sometimes I was going to use the minutia, but we'll leave that out today. I'm going to start coming up with the word of the day on this program. But anyway, I think sometimes on the inside, and this is the culture of the boxing world. You have trainers, you have other fighters, you have other people that do know what fighters do possess, other than what their records may yield or may state that they're capable of. In other words, people know in the boxing world that Joe Smith Jr. had power. People know in the boxing world that Joe Smith Jr. was probably capable of unleashing a devastating shot. So when I said that, Fonfara taking on Joe Smith Jr., he had to know about some of the odds and things going in here, and he got careless. He opened up, and Joe Smith, to his credit and his camp's credit, and this is what you and I talk about, this was a professional situation where a camp studied and learned and looked at to see how are we going to defeat this guy in a pretty impressive fashion. Well, they did just that. Whether he played possum, whether he did this to open him up, again, he went in there with a plan, and he fought a plan. and it worked for him in his advantage. And I give him and his team accolades and doing what the sport of boxing is all about. And who knows? Maybe this is going to be the year of the revenge of the underdogs. Who knows?
Well, I hope so, because then that shows that maybe, we have some more talent than we thought. But this weekend we got some big fights we're going to be talking about as the week goes on. But let's kick off with the big heavyweight battle between Anthony Joshua, who's currently a champion. He's the IBF heavyweight champion. He's taking on Dominic Breazeale, who's been in some tough fights, but he hasn't really impressed me. I actually think that, forget about a title. If there was no title on the line, I really like the matchup as two young fighters with similar records fighting each other. I like that. What's your thoughts on this fight as we approach it?
Well, I love the fight, and as you know, any fighter that does his due diligence, that respects the art and the game and the passion of fighting and boxing. And I sense that in Anthony Joshua. He takes it serious. He trains for the fight. He's able to put the punches together. He's well-schooled. He's got great experience. And he does what he's supposed to do. He lives the life of a professional athlete. He trains. He gets ready. And he goes in the ring and he does what he has to do. He takes care of business. I love the guy. I think he's great. I think he's great for the sport, and I think we're going to see many, many good opportunities for him that are going to be unraveled and revealed soon. I think he'll keep on a winning track, but you can't cut out or discount Dominic Breazeale. He's a great, heavy punching fighter. I think he's got the ability. He's a big guy. We've seen him before come from behind. We've seen him pick his butt up off the canvas and come back and still win. So that says a lot about his desire, his heart. So he's got a heart of a champion, and we're just going to see. You got two guys that have that heart of a champion going at it. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight, and I know it's probably going to end in a knockout.
Well, I agree with you on Breazeale. He's been down, but he's gotten up. Anthony Joshua's been down, and he's gotten up.
Yep.
Anthony Joshua, the knock on him is his questionable chin, and he's going to be in there with a heavy hitter. I don't know. When I first saw this fight, and I, like you, I love Anthony Joshua. I think he's the future of the heavyweight division. I think he got his title shot a little too soon. Not that he could have walked away from it, but. I hate to say it because I always am against it, using the word developing with a fighter that's already a champion. But I do believe Anthony Joshua is still developing, and I think that his fight against Dominic Breazeale is actually the perfect fight for where he's at now. And as much as I love Anthony Joshua, I've got to be honest with you, Sal. I wouldn't be shocked if Dominic Breazeale causes a big upset in England this weekend.
Billy, you are correct on that. And in my heart of hearts, like I said, I have a way where I can identify. I can empathize. I could see each fighter in their situations going into the bout. That's just my experience in the ring. And some of the passion, some of the heart, some of the desire, some of my experience in the past. And Dominic Breazeale has his chance again to rise to the occasion and shine. And he's a tough guy. And with the fight game, you never know. It just takes one punch to turn the fight around. And both these guys are capable of this punch. And as we said, we may have Anthony Joshua a suspect chin, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be tested. And it's going to be a great fight, and I'm looking very forward to seeing this fight with you, pal.
Yeah, me too, man. I can't wait. Major League Baseball, get you guys caught up on some quick scores. Indians over the White Sox 3-2. The Mets, all I'm going to say about them is they can't hit for shit. I mean, they really can't. They get shut out by the Braves 6-0, and even DeGrom.
By Atlanta Braves, my home team now.
I know. Yeah, well, they're like one of the worst teams in baseball, and even DeGrom couldn't. Get the Mets bats going. They're just sinking deeper and deeper into the abyss. They get shut out by the Braves 6-0. The Marlins over the Rockies 3-2. The Giants over the Rays 5-1. The Orioles beat the Blue Jays 11-6. Red Sox tapped the Mariners 2-1. Diamondbacks over the Phillies 5-1. The Twins beat the Yankees 7-4. Astros. Well, at least the Yankees scored some runs, unlike the Mets. The Astros blanked the Reds 6-0. Royals over the Tigers 2-1. Angels over the A's 2-0. Dodgers over the Brewers 2-1. Padres beat the Nationals, which is a good thing for the hapless Mets, 6-3. And in my opinion, the best team in baseball, the Cubs, put double digits over the Pirates, 10-5 in baseball action yesterday on Father's Day. You know, back in the day in baseball, Sal, pro ball players had a uniform, a home uniform and an away uniform. Now it seems they got uniforms for every little thing. I'm watching the warm-ups yesterday for the Mets game, and I'm like, well, what's going on with the blue? You know, everybody.
Who are these guys?
You know, everybody had blue numbers, blue hats, blue this, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I finally realized it was for Father's Day. You know, when they wear the pink for breast cancer awareness, and they're wearing the blue for the Father's Day. They wear the camouflage for the armed forces. These guys they don't know what uniform they're gonna wear. I mean, I guess it must be good with the cash flow with Major League Baseball, right?
You know, I'll tell you what, baseball has been around for a long time. It's one of my core favorite games. Before I grew up playing baseball, organized ball, and I had every dream, like every kid in New Jersey, New York. I wanted to grow up to play for the New York Yankees. And then my uncle came over to the house when I was 8 years old with a pair of boxing gloves. And look what that got me. Oh, boy. Anyway.
Well, you know, if you were going with any other team, maybe he was giving you a subliminal hint. He says, if you don't go for the Yankees, you're going to need these, you know?
Still the greatest sports franchise in the history of sports. Love the New York Yankees. You got to give them credit. And you know what? I want to give credit also. And I thank the deceased and George Steinbrenner, because you know what? He had a lot of hard knocks. People would slam him for this, for that. But guess what? He reinvested his money back into the team. He tried to acquire the best players he could to give the fans what they wanted. And he gave us some great years of great baseball and a lot of satisfied fans, New York Yankees. So thank you, George, and his family. I just wish the current Steinbrenner and everything else would look to turn this team around the way they should and could. And I hope they're cultivating the good talent, and we're going to see some changes come the All-Star break.
Well, I tell you what, poor Georgie's probably rolling over in his grave because his sons are running it now, and George's number one thing that he had to accomplish was to win. You know, similar to Al Davis over at the Raiders, just win. That's all he wanted to do was win, win, win. And the people that love the Yankees because of that, and the people that hate the Yankees because of that. Since the two sons took over, they're more business-minded. So they're making more business moves versus what George used to do with the backdrop of win first, no matter what. Everything else will fall in place. And the end result is what we're seeing now. You know, we're seeing a team that's competitive, but, I don't know if they're going to be a dominating team, but
absolutely.
That's the only thing there. For everybody that's listening, don't forget, Sal and I are going to be doing a pre- and post-fight show Saturday, live from Sal's neighborhood pizzeria and Italian restaurant in St. Simon's Island. Now, you can check it out by visiting www.ldltv.com. I don't know if LDLTV is going to have the capability of taking live callers or not. We never know about that, right, Sal? But we will be able to. So make sure you check the website, www.ldltv.com, on Saturday to find out what time we're going to be broadcasting. It seems that we're going to be broadcasting around 7 p.m., somewhere between 6 and 7 p.m. to kick off the pre-fight, which will also include our thoughts on the Anthony Joshua Dominic Breazeale fight, which will be coming on live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, live from England on Showtime. And then we will be watching the Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter fight which is on network television, CBS. The broadcast starts at 9 p.m. But as soon as that fight is over, the official announcement for Thurman and Sean Porter, Sal and I will be going on air live to discuss that, and hopefully we'll be able to take your calls so we can get your thoughts on it as well. And I'm really looking forward to not only coming down to stuff my face at your place, but a couple of great fights we're going to be watching and then talking about, Sal.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a great weekend. I'm so excited about it. And, yes, we're going to have such great food. We've been doing some beautiful, beautiful veal porterhouse, veal ossobuco. I call it awesome buco, but it's ossobuco. And we have dishes just waiting for you, buddy. We have great things.
Did you say a veal? Did you say a veal porterhouse?
I got a beautiful veal porterhouse I brought in.
I've never heard of that.
And this thing,
I've never heard of a veal porterhouse.
I'm gonna start. Like I said, I'm gonna start showing you dishes that you never even dreamed of. They're great.
So wait a minute.
Veal porterhouse is a nice thick. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So a veal porterhouse is so basically it's talking food with Billy C and Sal, Rocky Sanicola. So you're telling me that you got a veal, like a thick cut of veal that's a porterhouse versus like normally a thin pounded out?
It's a 1 pound, 16 ounces, and it's got that bone going right down the middle. It's just beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I
love. There's nothing. There's nothing better than I love the thin. My favorite is like a nice thin pounded out veal. There's I mean that's not my favorite is a regular old pizza, but I never heard of a veal porterhouse. That's interesting.
Well, you could try that, or you could try the pounded out thin veal as we always do. And one of my favorite sayings when I see somebody order veal, I usually go up to the table and say, "Is everything all right? And how do you veal?"
Yeah, well, I know that I've seen Sal with the gloves on, because when you pound out that veal, he's back there with the gloves on pounding out. Right?
What do you think? I'm like Rocky in the meat refrigerator. I'm like, women we can make. Boom.
Well,
I'm pounding that veal.
Hey, listen, Sal, we're gonna pack it in today. I know we got a lot of stuff to get ready for this weekend, and I hope that we'll start to be able to break down these fights tomorrow a little bit, and then Wednesday we got our normal blast from the past, and my man Larry Hazard scheduled to come on. So why don't we pack it in, and I will talk to you tomorrow, my man.
All right, Billy, listen, you have a great day ahead, and maybe I'll talk to you a little later, and we will definitely talk tomorrow morning, and I'll be back on St. Simon's Island, and I'll see you then.
All right, sounds good, my man. I'll call you in a few minutes.
Take care. Bye.
All right, that's Sal Rocky Sanicola, and he's actually coming to us via satellite, and he's not in his usual studio, but we apologize for him sticking with the show. And listen, slow morning for the show. We talked a lot about Joe Smith Jr.'s big upset over Andrzej Fonfara this past weekend. I hope it leads to bigger and better things for Joe Smith Jr. I would love some new blood in this sport, and it seems like the torch might be being passed. Let's hope that a lot of these young fighters fight the fights that we want to see, and not duck the ones that we want to see, or whatever. I lost my train of thought. But it doesn't matter. Tomorrow, Sal and I will be back. We'll start talking about the fights this weekend coming up. We had a slow one this past weekend, but not so much this weekend. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Anthony Joshua versus Dominic Breazeale. Who's going to win? Drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. Hey, listen, I'm going to pack it in. I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.